From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBICD PrimeTime Capper, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you're feeling the same. And boy, oh boy, it is going to be a good day today because we have none other than the man himself, Mr. Mike Abadir. Mike.
What's good, Big Papa? How are you, man?
I'm great. You just coming out the meeting?
Meeting and greeting and ready to roll today, man. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about.
New office over at SoFi.
Yeah,
Since SoFi has everything.
I know, don't they?
Yeah.
The only thing they don't have is Old Hollywood Park for us to watch races at, which is still a sore subject with me. But we'll save that for another day.
You know, Mike, but you know how it goes, man. Business is business. You know, at the end of the day, if somebody got more money, a bit more money at the end of the day. But you're right. We'll talk about it on a later day. We don't want to digress. Let's go ahead and jump into the Thursday night football preview. We got a lot of issues going on with this game. We got a Carolina team that's 2-0 right now. A lot of people didn't expect them to probably be 2-0 out the gate, but they are. Means absolutely nothing because they did get a win over the Saints, but the Saints kind of are. The Panthers are kind of like Jameis Winston's kryptonite in a sense as well too. They were very good against Jameis when he was a starting quarterback in Tampa Bay. He's thrown 9 picks against them, so you know that was up their alley a little bit. And then the woeful Jets, who probably will win about maybe 2 to 3 games this year. And I'm being nice when I say that because they could be a 1-win team this year as well too. So, you know, I look at this situation, I tell myself, well, the Panthers are going to be a heavy favorite. And this is a good place for Sam Darnold to go ahead and let the folks know that, you know, the Jets kind of jumped off too early from them. And this could be a big proving point game for them. But at the end of the day, that Carolina defense is the key to everything for that team right now. They're making life real easy for Sam Darnold. He can make mistakes because he has a defense that has his back. Well, he had that somewhat in New York, but, you know, if you only got 6 really good guys on that defense, then you're going to struggle. So where we at here, Mike? What are you thinking?
Well, first of all, I have to give you credit for something, which is you were very adamant that the Texans weren't as bad as me and others made them out to be. However, after I give you the credit for that, one of your main reasons was that they've got a very underrated veteran at the helm at quarterback in Tyrod Taylor. But he's out. He ain't going to be playing. So now the Texans have to turn to a rookie quarterback, Mills, who, you know, probably the best thing going for him is that Carolina probably doesn't have a lot of film on him. Most certainly they don't have any professional film on him. So that's probably the best thing that he's got going for him. Other than that, I mean, look, you kind of hit it. This is an opportunity for Sam Darnold and the Carolina Panthers to get off to a 3-0 start. It's a tough division, right? You got the Saints, you got the Bucs. You're going to have to win winnable games like against the Texans. Like I said, they're better than I gave them credit for. You kind of called it. But without Tyrod Taylor, I don't think the Texans have much of a chance, man.
All right. Well, I'm with you. I was just gung-ho on that because simply I know how the first week of the season works. You do too much. And you always have an emotional game
Yep.
where somebody has an emotional moment, and that's all I felt with Tyrod Taylor is that it was a good comeback for him with the issues that arised when he was in LA, ready to go out there, take over for Phillip Rivers, kind of walk the Rook into the situation, and then the trainer accidentally punctures his lung before the game. I don't do that for anything. I think that this was an inside job by the Chargers to make sure that rookie started. You know what I mean? And I know it sounds crazy, but you know what? I ain't that close to no NFL circles like that at this point. The only thing I do is bet the games, Mike. I don't work for NFL Network, so I can have a difference of opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, look, man, here's the thing. There's typically speaking, the roster of the lineup of Thursday Night Football has been garbage. Right? Why? Why? Because the networks have paid too much for the games for the NFL just to kind of hog up the best game of the weekend. So they usually take the crappy game of the week or one of them. And I think this is kind of in that mold. The only things that are compelling enough to want to watch them for are the little storylines, like you said, Sam Darnold trying to get off to a 3-0 start. Nice little redemption story. McCaffrey's always fun to watch, one of the most dynamic offensive players in the league right now. And and outside of that, man, it's whoever you got in your fantasy team. And of course, if you played the over-under or something of that nature. But otherwise, there's not there's not many reasons to watch this game. Fantasy, wagers, McCaffrey. I don't know. Anybody else?
Mike, you know that Twitter is going to be still watching this game. People still going to have their comments. People still going to be acting like they're the coach. All that good stuff. It doesn't look good if you looking in the TV guide and you got different choices. But it's the game. All these games, especially on primetime television, take heed. But I know what you're saying, though, Mike. This is taking. It's funny. I think now a lot of people have to understand what the Thursday night football whole reason for it is to give every team a primetime game. And most of these games wind up just being divisional games, and they kind of catch the divisional games that they seem to always get the divisional games that don't really mean much. But then they always throw in one of these AFC versus NFC matchups that's kind of a clunker, but I know what they were looking at. They had the idea that they would be putting Sam Darnold up against Deshaun Watson. You know what I mean? And pretty much that ain't happening. You got Sam Darnold going against Davison Mills
Mills.
Whatever guy they took out from the popcorn section of the stadium to play quarterback. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Dude, that guy, he was decent probably for about 5 minutes, and then Cleveland pretty much put the kibosh on that game.
Yeah, man. He probably didn't even think that there was a chance in hell that he was going to be playing in the second lifetime game under his belt as an unseasoned rookie who was not highly touted necessarily, but he came in way too early. It showed. You'd be amazed what a week of preparation with the first team, with the coaching staff. He can make strides by leaps and bounds. Don't get me wrong. They'll probably put him in a situation where he can't make too many mistakes. But with that said, they don't have enough firepower, man. They don't have talented receivers that can bail him out, that could get open for him on a consistent basis. They've got probably the oldest running back crew I've ever seen in my life. That's not hyperbole. I mean, I'm dead serious. I don't think I've ever seen an older group of running backs than Ingram, David Johnson, Rex Burkhead. Who else am I missing? They're all like old as heck. Oh, and Philip Lindsay. Philip Lindsay is like the baby of the group. So, yeah. I don't have any more to add to this clunker of a game. I'm going to watch Shohei Ohtani on Thursday Night Baseball against the Houston Astros. That's what I'm going to watch.
Mike, you're going to watch that football game. Come on, man.
I'll go back and forth.
I'll
go back and forth.
A few seconds, you'll see a little bit of the second quarter. Then you got to cut it on in the middle of the fourth quarter to see exactly what's going on. So then you can see if it's going to be some theater or is it just going to be, okay, we'll be wrapping this game up in about the next 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Get Dion and the crew. Well, Dion doesn't work for NFL Network.
Yeah.
Take that back.
Irvin.
God, they came to their senses with him.
We'll be watching Irvin.
That's a bad Dion story. That's why. That's the only reason why, Mike. But I'm not going to talk about it today.
Okay.
I might say it for your show, but I got a really bad Dion story.
Okay, well, I'm excited to hear it when the time is right.
Covering the Super Bowl a few years back in Miami.
Okay.
But just know, anybody who's a big primetime Dion fan, do not. I didn't do this though, but I could sense that this happens to him a lot. Do not be in awe of him when you meet him, because if you do that, he's really gonna walk away from you. Like seriously, like, he'll just really be like, one of these people.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Let's talk about a team that's near and dear to both of us, and that's I'm an LA Raider. Mike, I guess you're an Oakland Raider.
Oakland Raider, yeah.
But they're just like everybody from Oakland.
But we're all Las Vegas Raiders.
Right. They just like everybody from Oakland and LA. When they start getting tired of the state of California, they run to Vegas.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're starting to run out of friends and money, you run to Vegas.
No income tax, Nevada, right? No income tax. Yeah, bring it on.
Something to talk about. So, breaking news: Tua is out, fractured ribs. That's probably going to be a 2 to 3 week injury. To be honest with you, probably a month. And then you bring in Jacoby Brissett, Bill Belichick. Will we say disciple, or will we just say a Tom Brady quarterback club guy? You know what I mean?
Look, man, he's actually, if you think about it, Brissett really is like as a nice fill-in. Might even be a better replacement than Tua himself, to be honest with you. Look, Pop, yes, Belichick mentored the guy, and when he was called upon in relief, he excelled. Remember when Brady was suspended those first four games, and Brissett came in and he did a terrific job, right? Then when he went over to the Colts, think of the seasoning that he's gotten with their head coach, Frank Reich, who is a great, I should say, coach in terms of working with quarterbacks. That's the whole reason that Carson Wentz went over there. So he's understudied under Belichick, Tom Brady, Colts head coach, Phillip Rivers. Now he's in Miami. That's about as good of a coaching family tree, or, you know, he's going to come in and fill in real nice. It's hard for me to put it in words, but usually guys that are like that are a great example, Bridgewater, because he was around so many different guys, and Sean Payton and Drew Brees, and you pick up things. You pick up not just work ethic, but you pick up, most importantly, film and how to dissect film. How do these Hall of Fame type guys dissect film? And so when Brissett's been sitting with Brady and doing that, and with Phillip Rivers and doing that, and he's absorbing everything from Bill Belichick and coaching staff and so on and so forth, obviously Flores liked him enough to bring him back, right? Because Flores had him in New England. He thought enough of him and his work ethic to bring him to Miami. He's going to fill in really nicely. That's on the Tua Dolphins quarterback side of things. But, man, the most underrated quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion, is on the other sideline. What does Carr have to do to finally get recognized as one of the top-tier quarterbacks? Yes, I said it, top tier. The guy's completion percentage is Drew Brees-like. It's off the charts. Obviously, he's going to have to win some big games. But in terms of regular season quarterbacking, I'll take Carr over, maybe everybody besides 5 quarterbacks in the league. I'm dead serious.
Well, Derek Carr was on his way to having really a season where he possibly could have won the MVP before he snapped his leg that year. So I think that people been waiting on Derek Carr to be that elite quarterback. You know what I mean? But you have to be in the playoffs for that to happen. You know what I mean? They don't reckon it's cool to have a great amount of stats, but if you're not in the playoffs and they don't see you on that big stage where everything matters, all of a sudden, then it's hard for people to just be like, is he really a good quarterback? But I've been loving Derek Carr since day
You're right,
one.
but Matthew Stafford's been to like Pro Bowls and stuff.
Right, but Matthew Stafford's been in the league way longer, and he's in a more
but he hasn't won jack.
Right, but I would say more of a toxic situation too. Detroit was not the greatest place to go. If you got 7 different head coaches and 10 different offensive coordinators, but I don't give Matt Stafford any excuses. I'm still standing on my milk cart about how Goff showed some things to me that, pretty much it's just Detroit. It's not the quarterback, it's the coach, it's a lot of things. But my point being though is this: Derek Carr is, to me, I've always felt like he's been a top 10 guy since he was able to make such a splash. It's about his leadership that makes him very, very good for the Raiders. The Raiders did not have a vocal leader as the quarterback for some time. And I think Derek Carr took that by the reins, and he was able to inherit a good coach in Jack Del Rio, who set him up to be able to take on a John Gruden the way that he has, because I feel like Gruden has been the main issue. And I don't blame things on Derek. I feel like, with the maneuvering, and then you got guys like who are below average like Peterman, and you're giving them, oh my God, but Nate Peterman's one of the best I've ever seen. John, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, he's going to be a really good coach. Let's not play that he's a good quarterback game.
Yeah.
We all saw what happened with him in Buffalo. So I'm saying this right now, that the Raiders are actually achieving things that you didn't think that they probably could achieve this early in the year, especially in the first 2 games that they played in as well, too. Being the Ravens opening night, that a lot of people felt like the Ravens should have rolled in that one. And a lot of people went into Sunday like, well, this will probably be another Raiders-Steelers game where the Steelers defense just overwhelms the Raiders. They get a lot of turnovers, and, Steelers wind up winning the game. But what happened there, though, Mike, was that you had that defense step it up once again, and then you had the Raiders play patient, and then they bit you late. And that's exactly in the John Gruden playbook, man. It reminded me of one of those games from back in about 98, 99 with Gruden, when the Raiders were rolling in Oakland and things of that nature, and Gruden delivers a big, the game's close, and then Gruden dials up a play that's going to change the whole outcome of the game, and that happened with the Ruggs play, in my opinion. So, man, I'm just saying the Raiders are actually in better shape than I really, really thought they would be. I thought the Raiders would already be having is Derek Carr the man? Is Ruggs is Ruggs good enough to be on the Raiders? And and then everybody will overlook blaming John Gruden for anything. I put a lot of things on Gruden when it comes to the Raiders' mediocrity over the last few years and everything like that.
For sure.
I feel like he's been shape-shifting the team way too much. A lot of people felt, I was one of those guys who was really mad at him when he got rid of Khalil Mack. I didn't think they played that the correct way. But at the end of the day, they did kind of even out. But I did hear somebody say that John Gruden looked like a genius getting rid of him. And no, he did not look like a genius getting rid of him, because the Bears been to the playoffs the last 2 out of 3 years. And Mack won the Defensive Player of the Year the first year he got to Chicago. So really, you're not a genius.
Well, but at least they did well with the inventory they got.
At
least they did well with the inventory they got.
Some of it, not all of it, because some of those guys are off the team now already. But I think that comes from the old organization as well, too. I'm talking about the top cornerback that they picked from Ohio State. He was off the team within 14 months. You know what I mean? So I look at those little things. But you are right, Mike. They did pick up in the back end of things very, very well. Not in the top tier part. in my opinion. But middle rounds, things of that nature, they really came up because Crosby's a middle round guy. He's a third, fourth round pick, but that's because he went to all the places Eastern Michigan.
Yep.
This isn't good Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan's decent now, but he played for bad Eastern Michigan.
So here's my main question, and I think this is really going to dictate, a lot about this ball game coming up. I am unimpressed with the Raiders' running scheme and the running production so far.
Well, Jacobs wasn't in the game Sunday.
I wasn't impressed with him the week before. Granted, he was banged up.
He was a warrior.
Hey, man, he played hurt. I commend him for that. But nonetheless, I have yet to see what the Raiders can do at the running game. Right now, they got some experienced guys behind Jacobs like Kenyon Drake and Peyton Barber. But I just haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen them rolling on offense with the running game. It'll be important to do so when you want to keep that lead. It'll be important to do so when you want to waste some time. But if you're going to keep getting into shootouts, right, then, maybe you still want them for, play action and stuff. If they're not a threat, they don't bite. But, look at the scores in the first two games, Pop. 33-27 was the final score against the Ravens. And what was it against Pittsburgh? 26?
17.
17. Yeah. So they haven't had to, so far is my point. But when they do need to, that's the question mark that has to be answered. If it's answered in the affirmative, then I think this team can go. They can make a run, at least to get to the postseason. I'm not saying they could win the AFC West, but I think things are finally coming together for John Gruden. This is what Mark Davis ponied up so much money for. I know it's only 2 games, and I know the natural tendency is to overreact after 2 games. But hey, man, they beat the Ravens, who just beat the Chiefs. They beat the Steelers on the road, who had just beat the Buffalo Bills. So basically, if A beats B, B beats C type analysis, the Raiders have beat 2 of the top teams in the AFC. If you look at Buffalo's loss against Pittsburgh, you know what I mean? So I don't know, man. On the flip side, I think Brissett, like I said, I think he's going to have a pretty good showing here, right? The Dolphins got humiliated against the Buffalo Bills. I love it when you have a good team or a good coach coming off of a humiliating game. They always come back better in the following game. So this should be a fun ball game.
Well, my only thing with that is that you better get that offense together because 17 points on the season. If you go ahead and add that up with the 2 games, it's going to be 8.5 points a game for the Dolphins that they're averaging right now.
When you have like a horse ease, when you look at the running lines and you see that a horse eased, and in the racing form it says like 100 lengths out or however they designate it when jockey pulls up a horse. You kind of put a line right through that in the past performances. I'm going to do that for last game. They've got some playmakers on offense, man.
We'll see, Mike.
Devontae Parker is legit. Waddle, legit. Myles Gaskin, legit. Gesicki, tight end, legit. They've got some weapons, man. Honestly, their weakest link is Tua. Not a Tua fan. He's injury prone. The knock on him was he was always having ankle issues in college. That was going to be the big knock on him coming into the NFL, ankle. And then on top of it, then he had a hip injury before he left Alabama. So now it's like you have a persistent ankle injury and now a major hip injury. the guy missed games last year. He's going to miss games this year. He's injury prone. I think the Dolphins need to use the Arizona Cardinals playbook. You know what that is? You draft Rosen, you cut bait on him right away, and you draft Kyler Murray. Dolphins draft Tua. Time to cut bait on him. Get your next QB.
I'm with you. I just want, I want to put some 2 cents on that situation.
Please do.
Rosen. But you know what, man? At the end of the day, it don't matter because Rosen's career is going absolutely nowhere. Because I always felt like that coach was bad, and they just literally had a coach there, a stopgap coach in a situation. They drafted Rosen, and they didn't. And then when they looked at it, they said, "Okay, we don't like the coach." And we'll let the new coach decide what he wants to do with the quarterback. You know what I mean? That's how I felt in that situation right there. That coach always befuddled me because he took a quarterback out of a quarterback who was Sam Bradford at the time. And you know what? The Cardinals were winning the game, and nothing was wrong with Sam Bradford. He pulled him out the opening game of the season. And once I saw that move happen, I said, man, Josh Rosen's going to be in for a pretty bad season this year because you got a coach that's kind of indecisive. But you know what? With the way his career is going right now, maybe you should have just stayed at UCLA for another year so you could have become a mature football player, because that's the biggest problem with him from what I heard is that he kind of has this snobbish attitude and it doesn't rub teammates and coaches the right way. So, it makes sense. You know what I mean? He was a California Golden Boy quarterback. And, you got to go to UCLA, start day one, and be seen as the savior, which you weren't, at no point in your college career. But you had a lot of hype going around you for a long
Chosen Rosen.
Yeah. The
chosen Rosen. He didn't save nothing.
Yeah, so he didn't live up to any of that stuff. So there's no point in me sitting here blaming indecisive coach of why his career went the way it went, because if he would have got it together, then he would still be in Miami.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's my only point, is that I think the Dolphins got to cut bait in the same way that the Arizona Cardinals did. Cut your losses short. Don't press the matter. If you like what you see from Tua, you think he could further develop, you like his ceiling, go for it. All in. If not, cut bait. Don't waste seasons, because seasons go by very quickly in the NFL. If you've got a nice defensive unit, you got to win now. You got to take advantage now. And the Dolphins have a nice defensive unit. You watch and see, once they really get rolling by like week 6, week 7, people are going to be like, man, that's a nice defensive unit there. Mark my words.
There's nothing wrong with the defense, in my opinion.
No.
It's just that the offense got to get going. But you know what? At the end of the day, though, Tua, as I said before, I was never high on Tua at all, because I don't really take Bama quarterbacks that seriously.
Yeah.
And I've been telling you guys from day one, Marquise Tuapa Sopo, former Washington quarterback that led the Huskies to the Rose Bowl over Drew Brees, and was later drafted by John Gruden and Al Davis to play for the Raiders, to be Rich Gannon's backup and to be a guy that knows the offense well enough to where if something happens to Richie, he can come in the game and help us just win a little bit. But we're not looking at this guy to be replacing anybody. And I think they always overfetched Tua's situation because it wasn't a good quarterback draft to begin with. And pretty much Tua, in a real draft where you really look at it correctly, he's a 5th to 6th round pick, if even drafted.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
No arguments there, man.
You know what I mean? And Mike, you're an agent. You know this. But this was an oversight. They were thinking Russell Wilson. This was just because he made a great throw in a very important game. And they never lived it down. That's all it is. And maybe I might be a little bitter because I did have Georgia that night and I thought we were going to win. Damn it, Kirby. All right, man, we move on. All right, let's talk about a funny game. And you know what? I didn't even get my graphics up, Mike. Dang. But I put a graphic up for this though. We got the Rams and the Bucs, and that it's kind of ashy, so I'll bring it back down. But we got the Rams and the Bucs. This should be a good one, Mike. You know what? Let's look at the last two matchups. Okay, the Bucs flew out here as a heavy dog with Jameis Winston still as their quarterback, and actually dropped 55 points on the Rams that day at the Coliseum. You turn back around the next year, Jared Goff is still the quarterback for the Rams, and then you got Tom Brady Monday Night Football with the Bucs last year, and pretty much you got this idea that the Bucs should roll. They're a -8 favorite that night. I think about maybe 280. 300. I know because I bet the game. It had the Rams that night on money line, so I really do remember the game vividly. And Aaron Donald does a job on the Bucs last year with Tom Brady there. So now we got the rubber match in a sense. And hey, they fly back out to Los Angeles. There's going to be a lot of stars at the game as well too. Tom Brady effect. I already know there's going to be. They'll highlight that LeBron is there and. Yeah. You know, and everybody's there, you know. So pretty much when I look at this game, this is by far the best game of the week, Mike. This should have been a Sunday Night Football game, if anything. But I really do like the way that this game shapes up. Stafford versus Brady. And I think that it comes down to who has the better defense, and you know who got the better defense here and it's by a mile as well, too, the Rams.
You know, when you just said that about Brady and Stafford, I wonder what they are. I'm just curious what they are head to head, because the Patriots and Lions don't really match up, face each other very often, once every like 4 years or something like that. So they've probably only played against each other a couple of times. Be curious to see, not that it means really anything, but I'm kind of curious as to what their lifetime mark is against one another. Yeah, great game. I think this is a game between two of the better teams in the NFC. Two teams I would not be entirely surprised to see in the NFC Championship game. That's not my prediction, but if it happened, I wouldn't be shocked. The thing about the Bucs that I think lends itself to the Rams defense having another successful day is that, once again, kind of like what I said about the Raiders, the Bucs don't have a consistently reliable running game. They just don't, right? So I don't know what to make of the Bucs just yet anyways, because they beat Dallas on a hyped up opening night, and then they beat the Falcons. So do we really know where the Bucs are, aside from we know they won the Super Bowl and we know they're 2-0? I don't know. But one thing I do know about the Rams is that they've won a couple of games on the road now, right?
Nah, they opened up at home.
Oh, okay. So they had a one. They're coming off a road win. They're 2-0 as well. I think their defense is the kind of the marquee unit on this ball club. Same question once again. And you're going to hear me asking it a lot. The running game. Is Henderson the guy? Is he the guy that's going to lead you to and through the playoffs? I don't know. I see a shootout type ball game only because these teams are going to be passing a lot. And even though the defense of the Rams, I said, is going to have a good game, what I mean is they're going to cause like a sack, a strip, fumble. They're going to make a play when they need to. But I think both of these offenses are going to move the ball nicely. I don't know what the over-under is on this one. But with everybody talking about the defense of the Rams, it's kind of when I tend to go over. Because, like I said, the defense of the Rams is going to make a key play. But Brady's going to be able to move the ball more than people expect. And same thing with Stafford. They're going to be able to move the ball offensively against the Bucs, who have a kind of a softer defense than people think as well.
Oh,
that's my take on the game.
The Bucs defense is atrocious. Let's just be honest there. Their defensive back end is terrible. Their front seven is decent, but the DBs that they have right now are terrible. I'm gonna say terrible. It's just that I think they're a little inexperienced, and I think that they rely a lot on that front seven to be great, and they don't have to do much, but just cover for 4 or 5 seconds. All great defensive ends tell their defensive backs, just give me 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think they're in that category of a type of defense where your front seven can really, take care of your back end. But if they're not taking care of the back end, then you're in a lot of trouble. And I think with the way that Aaron Donald is playing right now, I don't know about Brady just going out there and dominating them. Because if he's going to have to deal with, Donald coming up the middle, which is every quarterback will tell you this, that they hate when the pass rush is coming up the middle, because literally it's giving you no chance to even get anything going. And I think if Aaron Donald is able to win his fair share of battles, then the Bucs are going to be in trouble, because as you just said, Mike, the run game's not there. But this is the type of game where the run game can show up. And we know Leonard Fournette is an absolute monster when he gets the ball rolling as well, too. And I would say that Ronald Jones is a good little speedy guy. He can do some things as well, too. He gets to come back to where he played college football at as well, too, at USC. He's back in L.A. for this game, so he'll have a lot of friends and family here. So pretty much I think the game winds up being maybe over, but it will be not like a definitive over. It'll happen because, things go back and forth, and probably both defenses make a big play, on the right side of the ball and everything like that. So pretty much I love this game. I think that it's probably going to be the best game of the week as well, too. The matchup is going to be intense. It's going to be overhyped, because now since we got football at such a beautiful stadium in Los Angeles, the theater will be that much better for it. If the game was at the Coliseum, they would have just looked at it, oh, well, it's just Brady's coming to town. But no, they're like, no, Brady's coming to Hollywood, and Brady's going to be at the new stadium. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? I know Brady's not staying on Manchester Boulevard, though.
Well, let me say one thing, Pop. You're talking about the pass rush, the up the middle havoc that Donald can create. Let's look on the flip side of that. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line is probably, I'm going to just say it, them and the Cleveland Browns are the best 2 offensive lines in football. The Bucs offensive line is really, really good. And if you go to Pro Football Focus and look at their grades for these first couple of games, it really, really establishes what I'm talking about. They've got a fantastic offensive line. That should make for a really, really nice battle between the Rams defensive line versus the Bucs offensive line. It should be a lot of fun to watch. If you like games where they're hard fought in the trenches, this is going to be one of them. This is going to be really enjoyable. It's going to be fun to watch those one-on-one matchups. Great game to have on a pause and start basis to go back and look, or watch the game live and then go back and look at some of the one-on-one stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm definitely looking forward to this ball game, as I'm also looking forward to the Chiefs and the Chargers. I think that should be another fun game between the other LA team and the perennial Super Bowl candidate Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, people over there front running, baby. That's all I gotta say about the Chiefs right now.
Hey, they're 1-1. They're not 2-0.
Let's name the last team that lost the Super Bowl that got right back to the Super Bowl. Just name it for me, Mike.
I would have to think about that for a little bit, but I know the track record isn't good, except okay, look. The thing is this. They're in a different category because they've been to 2 in a row. Right? So they're not like one of those teams that kind of flukily got through their conference and got to the championship, and then that's it. This is a team that's been there a couple of years in a row. And when you're there 2 years in a row, then you really have to be dethroned. Right? If you're not dethroned, then I'm going to stick with the Chiefs.
Well, I got your answer, Mike. It was the Buffalo Bills.
And they kept losing.
And then the other team that lost a year after they won were the Packers.
The Seahawks lost a year after they won as well. Remember, Russell Wilson beat the.
They had to wait a year or two to get back because they lost. Because you have to remember, yeah. Hold up, yeah, you're right. Seattle did.
Yeah, they beat the Broncos, and then there was the interception that sealed the fate against the Patriots. Unfortunately,
yeah,
for all those Seahawks fans.
But I'm just saying, man, we'll see. You know what I mean? Everybody's so in love with the Chiefs, but as you can see, the Raiders are 2-0 right now. And Gruden, like literally right now, Gruden's watching tape on Mahomes, dude. Seriously. But we'll get to
look, and Gruden figured out a way to beat them last year.
Well, no, because he knows how to beat Andy Reid. That's the whole thing. He's been beating Andy Reid since Andy Reid was in Philadelphia. You know that. He knows how to beat Andy Reid because they come from the same damn school. You know that, Mike.
Yep.
You know, running the motion here, running the motion there. That's all Green Bay. All he's doing is running the Green Bay Packers offense from the 90s.
Yeah,
both of them literally at the same time. But let's go ahead and get a commercial break, switch up gears a little bit, start talking about some baseball because we'll do this football thing all day long.
Let's do it.
All right, so with that, this is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and the man himself, Mr. Mike Abadir. We will be right back after this quick break.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube. All right, Mike, it is time. Let's go ahead and jump into our first game. It's going to be between the Royals and the Indians. The Royals and Indians, both these teams are 1-2-3 Cancun at this point. We only got about a week and a half or so left in the season as well, too, Mike, because we're at the last days of September. So that means that the MLB will be done on the 3rd of October, actually. I thought that it was going to be ending in September, but actually it's the 3rd of October. So excuse me. Well, actually, I think these are, it's the 3rd of October. So pretty much what I'm looking at here today, Mike, is you got a team in the Indians that are way out of it. They're not a wild card team. They can't, get the White Sox or anything like that. And then you got Kansas City, your guys, great start to the season. They kind of just hit a wall and never really recovered. So what I like about this game today is I feel like you got a team in the Royals that should play pretty big. They got a good pitcher on the mound for them today as well, too, in Carlos Hernandez. And then the Indians have a pitcher that's been struggling literally all season. So it's really not hard to take the side here. And I would even go a further mile and say this. Why don't you put the Royals if the Royals aren't the favorite on if you really let the Royals, you can bet the run line. But I can be safe and just do the money line with them.
Hey, Pop, let me stop you for a quick second because you've done a fantastic analysis, but unfortunately, it's all for nothing.
What happened?
This game's been postponed.
This is why I don't like dealing with East Coast games.
Yeah. I'm assuming it's weather, but they're going to make it up on September 27th.
They didn't send anything to me yet, but okay. All right.
Yeah, there's one other postpone. Actually,
is it
a couple of postponements. So the White Sox and the Tigers are also postponed.
They're not on this group.
And then the Reds and Pirates.
They're not in this group either.
There you go.
All right, so we move on. And but it's all good. I just had to redo the pick six in a bit. But we got the Nats and the Marlins, and the Nats and the Marlins will be okay because this game is actually in a stadium that can be an indoor or outdoor stadium. Marlins Park, very nice. It's Lone Depot Park now, but very nice ballpark. Another place I was at when I was in Miami the first time. It was absolutely fun to be in there. It's not that big though, Mike. It's not big at all. This didn't feel big to me. You know what I mean? Being at Dodger Stadium and everything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Nats Marlins. This one really favors the Marlins more than anything. You got Josiah Gray, the Dodgers gym pitcher that really was just used as a asset to move for now, which is Mad Max and Trey Turner. And pretty much you got Leisier Hernandez on the mound for the Marlins. What are your thoughts on this game?
Oh, I think Gray has been maybe thrown into the mix maybe a little bit prematurely. He hasn't pitched very well so far with the Nats. I think he probably needed a little bit more seasoning. But when your fans are upset because you got rid of your two best players, you kind of want to show immediate dividends from the trade. Eliezer Hernandez is a pretty solid pitcher. He's pretty nice. For me, this game probably is a no-touch, Pop. A key stat, though, is that the Nats know how to hit. I'm not saying they could slug the home runs or anything like that. I'm talking about hitting. Their team batting average of 259 is fourth in baseball. Keep that in mind. They know how to hit, led by Juan Soto, of course, who is going to be winning some batting titles in his career. He's still super young. I love this guy. But this is a no-touch game. If I were going to play it, I would just think about the fact that the Nats are a pretty good station-to-station type of team. They could swipe some bags. They can manufacture runs. They don't need to hit the home run to score.
Gotcha. I think it's an over game, to be honest with you, because Gray seems to always give up a lot of runs. And I think that the Nats, like you just said, will provide some runs for them today as well, too. This ain't really I know it's a no-touch for you, but you know what? At the end of the day, sometimes these games are the games that make your week. So I like the over 8 here. Let's see how it shakes out.
Well, no touch, I meant on the sides. Over 8, yeah. I'm all about it. All about it.
Touching the side, though, is kind of difficult here because you kind of got the same pitcher on both sides. You want to say one's bad, one's good, but really they still pitchers that are still very green and they're still trying to figure this thing out.
100%. I think the 8 looks pretty appetizing.
Yes, and I think that it's going to be some good money. Even though a lot of these games in Miami go under, this one tonight should go over.
And let me tell you something really quickly. One of the things that I really love about baseball is that teams really don't. I mean, you said that, the Cancun line, and I know you're being funny when you say that. But for the most part, teams don't tank. Teams push hard. Did you see how hard the Cleveland Indians bust their butt against the Yankees over the weekend? They won like 11-1 and another one 11-1 or something like that. They're really, really trying hard. I mean, do you think anybody just goes up to the plate and doesn't try to hit?
Not at all.
Not at all. So, I mean, baseball is one of those sports where up until the very last out of game 162, you have guys trying. You have guys competing. You have guys that need to get the stats sheet up for their year-end statistics, maybe for arbitration, maybe it's for the next contract, or maybe it's simply just to keep their job, Pop. So I think you'll see some hitting here, man. I like this over, but I just wanted to make that point that these teams that are out of it, they still push hard. These guys want to keep their roster spots for next year. They want to close strong, have some momentum going into 2022.
And you're an agent, Mike. You know this. Winter meetings, dog. Because there's guys that are playing on a last place team right now that are top 10 hitters in the MLB. But you don't hear anything about them because they play for the Pirates. The Pirates had the guy, they traded him, I think, but that guy was leading the league in hits on the Pirates. The Pirates have not been out of last place at all this year. So, hey, you never know what gems you have there, and they got to keep playing because some of these guys got incentives on them contracts too. And
absolutely.
You know a whole lot about them incentives, buddy.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about the Orioles at the Phillies. We got a game between an Orioles team that I know really wants this season to be over at this point, because this is one that you don't write home about. It just seems like this was the only team I know that could give up 10 runs a night consistently, and tonight will be the game where a lot of people overbet the Phillies. And I love saying this when you're on the show because it usually works out for me. They're going to overbet the Phillies tonight, but I'm not saying the Phillies lose the game, but I'm saying that the Orioles keep it close. Give me the red line tonight because I'm getting some plus money on that.
What is the plus on that?
Plus 125.
Okay.
That's not
all
bad.
Right.
That's
no,
not
it's not. It's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. They probably are going to be getting overbet, but that's probably because they got Zach Wheeler going against the worst team in baseball. So, to me, I think the Phillies win this game. Maybe the Orioles keep it close. I'm not saying that they don't. I think they're probably underestimated, but they are every game, right? I can't really. I personally would have a difficult time putting any money on the Orioles with Keegan. Who is that pitching? Keegan Aiken.
Yeah.
2-10 record and almost a 7 ERA. So, for me, I couldn't take the minus 300. I mean, maybe if I had like a 5-team parlay and wanted to get a team number 6 in there just to improve my odds a little bit on the parlay payoff, it would be the Phillies, I suppose. But yeah, I think Phillies win this game. Bryce Harper has been really, really hot. They had a fun, exciting game last night. Extra innings. Phillies had an exciting walk-off situation. But I think they win again tonight. Bottom line, Pop, they have to win.
Yep.
They have to win. They're not going to catch the Cardinals. And they might catch the Braves only because you know how it goes in these last few weeks. All these teams play each other down the stretch.
Oh, Mike, it's not a might catch the Braves situation. The Braves lose 3 in a row. Phillies win 3 in a row. Then we got a whole new ball game here. They're only 2 games back. And that's, and they got the final weekend to play each other as well, too.
Yep.
So it should be fun. Let's move forward. Let's talk about 2 teams going in 2 different directions. As you know, the Angels are the Angels, and the Astros have been the Astros. And it's funny that the Angels can just be this consistently bad for the last, I don't know, since 2002 when they won a championship. You know what I mean? Like, not consistently bad, but consistently overrated. This team should be so much better. You know what I mean? They should be right in the thick of things. But they haven't even had that conversation in the last decade. You know what I mean? So I don't know where we go from here with the Angels. But if Artie Moreno decides to sell him, he'll make a lot of money. So I can say, you know what I mean? But the Astros should be looking good tonight coming to this one. But the Angels never sleep on them. It's a hot day in Southern California, even hotter day in Orange County. We both know this, Mike. And pretty much the heat might help the Angels out a little bit tonight. Get that ball flying out the park. We'll see. But there's just so many different things you think about with this game, and it's like, man, they should be better. But I think that it's going to come down to a good pitching matchup in this one tonight, and I like the under here.
We're on the same page.
Yeah,
I like the under too. You got junk on one side, and I'm not making fun of anybody. His name is Junk.
Jansen Junk.
Jansen Junk. Good. So you got Junk on one side. Like I said, I'm not ripping on them. That's the pitcher's name. And you have a very, very underrated, by the way, pitcher going for the Astros. This Luis Garcia is having a really nice season, man. 11-7, 3.37 ERA. Very, very quietly, he's asserted himself as a bona fide starter in the majors. And he's a big reason why the Astros are having such a good season. I think this is a good pitching matchup as well. I'm taking the under 9.
Let's see how it shakes out, Mike. We move forward from there in another AL West matchup. And this one's a little bit more important because you got a Mariners and A's team that could easily slip into that second hole right now if they're able to, have some miracles happen for them, have a couple Yankees and Blue Jays losses. But still, they're right there. It's funny that you have this team, you have 4 teams, or 3 teams actually, 4. Yeah, I'm going to say 4, vying for that second spot in the wild card in the AL that could be leading the NL East right now.
Oh, yeah.
4 teams. Only team that in the AL East that couldn't lead the NL East is Baltimore. And Baltimore couldn't lead any division right now. They are bad on bad. Them and Arizona are going for who can stink it up. Who's gonna get to 100 losses first?
Yep.
Yeah, but I think Arizona's a bit better. But all in all, though, I think the Mariners are a good bet tonight, Mike, to be honest with you. They got Flexen on the mound. I like Flexen. Flexen's a really good pitcher. And, they're just going to keep trading back and forth with the A's anyway. So I'm going to just go ahead and take the Mariners money line tonight, Mike.
I'm going to take another under. It's not often that I take 2 unders in the AL West, especially. I'm taking the under in this game here. Very spacious Oakland Coliseum. Hard to score a lot of runs there. Not the most hitter-friendly stadium that there is. It's windy. They have a very, very spacious first and third base line, which always leads to maybe a couple of more outs that would be foul balls in other stadiums. It's definitely a pitcher-friendly ballpark. Like you said, Flexen's pitching tonight for the Mariners, and he's really, really good. He's going up against Cole Irvin. These 2 teams are more about pitching than hitting anyways. They're going to keep the score very tight, a very close game. I expect this game to be something like 3-2, 4-3 under.
All right. We got an 8.5 here tonight as well, too. So let's see how it shakes out. Let's see how it goes, and we move from there. All right. So there it is. Our nightcap game tonight. You got the Braves and the Diamondbacks. And I know I put this in wrong because the Braves are the favorite and the Diamondbacks are not the favorite. So the Diamondbacks are – I'm going to fix this. So the Diamondbacks are actually the big dog here. Big dog. Where that big dog at? They're the big dog here. And then you got the Braves coming off a 6-1 win last night against the same Diamondbacks team. What are your thoughts, Mike? Who do you
the Braves have the well, first of all, if the Diamondbacks were minus 189, I'm not sure they have been all year long. So it was pretty obvious that was an innocent mistake there. The Braves have Ian Anderson going on the bump, and this guy is a former first-round draft pick of theirs, and he's starting to really get it together. They called him up a couple of years ago, came in some relief opportunities. Same thing last year in the pandemic-shortened season. Now he's getting a chance to finally start and stretch it out, and I like what I'm seeing from this guy so far, man. He's already got 7 wins, 3.75 ERA. He's been thwarted into the mix. He's young, but it was based on need because Max Fried was hurt. And you had what's his name? Torres Achilles is out for the year. One of their better pitchers. He's come in. He's really stepped up. He's one of the big reasons why they've had this second half surge. And so I like Ian Anderson in this spot here. Like we mentioned earlier, these are all must wins for these contenders. And if you expect to be able to keep your lead in the NL East, you have to beat the worst team in the National League. They're going up against the Diamondbacks' best pitcher, probably in Merrill Kelly. But he's nothing to write home about necessarily. I think the Braves win against a team that they must beat if they want to keep that division lead.
Well, this game is set up for the Braves to have a good night tonight. And I have to agree, Mike. I think the Braves actually roll in this one tonight as well, too. Because if you don't have Bumgarner on the mound for me with the Diamondbacks, I'm all right. It really doesn't matter. Like, I could go out there. I think that I'm going to do better than the pitching that the Diamondbacks have at this point. Oh, I was a pitcher, Mike, but, I'll probably do good. I think I could get a couple ground outs. But then probably by about I could probably get through maybe 1 or 2 innings. I think by the time I get around the lineup, that's when it starts turning into batting practice. Throw the junk, Mike.
Yeah,
that's how you survive MLB. You gotta throw the junk. The guys who throw real fast, they always burn out the quickest.
Oh, yeah.
The guys who know how to pitch. I'm talking about pitch, Mike.
Yep. Like Greg Maddux.
I'm gonna throw 3 in the dirt. I know you're gonna swing at one of them. You know what I mean? So yeah, there it is, Mike. Braves at the D-backs. We agree. It's not hard to agree on this game. Give me that -1.5 run, and we'll go from there. All right, let's go ahead and check out my primetime pick 6, which kind of right now is a super high 5, but we'll fix it in a moment. We have here 61-1 today, Mike. If we play the high 5, it'd probably be 35-40-1.
Is there any team that you could replace the Royals with, or you don't want to mess with it?
I got to think about that right now. That's the problem. You know what I mean? But if I was going to replace them with anybody, probably would throw in that. I wouldn't say Dodgers because the Dodgers cost way too much. I got to find something that's similar to the Royals so we can try to keep our value here. So
it might be like an over-under or something like that then.
Probably jump. Yeah, most likely I would probably jump in this Twins-Cubs game.
Okay.
Because I know that they're even money somewhat. And I think I would probably rock with the Cubs today because yesterday I had the Twins actually last night as one of my client plays. So I would go in reverse tonight and go with Kyle Hendricks over Joe Ryan, who is pitching good. But still, I'll take Kyle Hendricks tonight.
Okay.
That spot. Yeah, so there it is. Yeah, -1.
That's an awfully low over-under line, by the way, in that Cubs-Twins game.
Yeah, I think that they trust the pitch. I think that they trust the pitching here. And it's probably something about the wind at Wrigley tonight as well, too.
Must be.
A lot of times when there's a funny-looking over-under at Wrigley, it's because the weather.
Yep. Good point.
Yeah. So
I like it, Pop.
So, Mike, you already know what time it is. You guys already know. Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. Pacific time. You got Mike Abadir, the show, the Mike Abadir show, and Gino Bacola. I wish these guys would just have a sitcom on ABC already. The sports agent, the former sports broadcaster, Gino and Mike.
Hey, before we close out here, what's on tap for you, horse racing wise, and Santa Anita's coming up, etc. Any shows on deck? Any maybe trainers coming on, perhaps to join us for any of these shows, or join you for any of these shows? I'm guessing a lot of people that watch are also horse players.
Right. We might bring in Doug next week. But Horsing Around does return next week. Mike, I told you before, I'm not big on Los Alamitos. And really, the second meet is really when I'm like, okay, it's break time. Coming out of Del Mar, having such a good time at Del Mar, you don't want to break the momentum. They give you a week off, so that kind of throws you off a little bit. And then when you start looking at the form over at Los Alamitos, it's like, okay, there's nothing. I love horse racing. I love trainers. I love horsemen. I love all that stuff. But it's like, I feel like all the trainers have left and they've let the grooms take over and just say, okay, just get my horse on out there. He just needs to get a race. That's it. That's all. Make sure you get him back safe to Santa Anita. That's how I look at Los Alamitos.
I love Los Al personally. You know, Los Al is near and dear to my heart. But I mean, look, this is the Fairplex meet, and yeah, man. I mean, look at all the jockeys that skip out on this meet. They always do. You know, outside of maybe they'll come in for a stakes race or something like that. There's an opportunity for the jockeys to go to like Kentucky Downs for the big purses or something like that, and then come back for you know, the good stuff, the real stuff at Santa Anita. Yeah, we're not talking about the best horses here. We're talking, you know, better than California, Northern California fair quality, but definitely below the SoCal circuit outside of a couple of stakes races here and there, man. So I got you, but I'm happy to hear the Horsing Around's coming back.
Yes, Horsing Around will be back next week. Hopefully, I'm trying to be it all depends on what the situation is at the track, but hopefully if it's not anything silly, then I can go ahead and probably try to record the actual Horsing Around at Santa Anita as well, too. How about
Love it. Love it.
Right. So that should be fun. So I'll be back with Horsing Around. I know Mike wants it to be back because Mike loved them 25 and 30 to ones that I might hand out.
Hell yeah.
Or the one that you didn't see coming. You know, but it's all good, man. It happens. You know,
there's always tomorrow. That's the best thing about horse racing.
That's why I always say if you got a hunch, bet a bunch, because a lot of people overlook horses, but sometimes it could just be one little thing you see about a horse. It might not be anything that stands out about that horse in the form, but you might have a day where you're thinking about, oh man, you know what? That horse reminds me of this one situation I was in one day. I'm gonna bet that horse. You know what I mean? Or be like, oh man, that horse's name is so and so. You know what? I'm looking at the form and everything like that. Everything kind of makes sense. Why don't we go ahead and jump in?
Yeah. Or a lot of times it's, hey man. A lot of times it's like, hey man, they loved him last time out, you know, at 2-1. But I'm looking at the board today, same conditions, same everything, and he's 8-1. A lot of value. I'm going to give him a shot this time, right? I mean, there's so many different reasons to take a stab, but I love your philosophy. If you got a hunch, bet a bunch, make it worth your while. With that, awesome show as always, and I appreciate you having me on. You are the man. You are the primetime Pop DiBiase handicapper that we all know and love.
Yep. All right, Mike.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, man. So with that, I'll be back tomorrow. NFL Bet Exchange starts at 10 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow. So you guys make sure to catch me and Jeff breaking down all the games for Thursday, Sunday, and Monday. And Jeff has been kicking some butt lately. Jeff is actually 22-10 on the year. Me, myself, I'm 14-16, 14-18. But everything always works itself out. So we'll be good. But make sure you guys tune in. We're giving out a lot of winners. And you guys make sure to tune in to Mike's show tomorrow as well, too. And the Primetime Angles Live will be back tomorrow. We'll be talking about some bets list in college football as well, too. So you guys make sure to tune in for that. So with that, once again, this is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the sports agent, sports radio aficionado himself, Mr. Mike Abadir, and we are gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave